Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the Lochs Way. And this is a 31-mile long distance footpath. It's one of Scotland's great trails, and it leaves the shores of Loch Lomond at Balloch, continues to Helensburgh where it meets the Clyde, Gare Loch, and round to Loch Lomond, and then finishes at Tarbert. So the plan is, over the next 2 to 3 days, is to walk this route with a couple of wild camps. The weather's set to be good, in that it's fine and dry, but that temperature has dropped lately, and it could be a couple of very cold nights. So we'll have to see how that pans out. I want to enjoy it, I don't just want to endure it. So we'll just have to wait and see. And I have a couple of extra bits of new kit that I want to test out. I've got my new tent that I bought about 4 months ago that I've not managed to use in anger yet, which is the MSR hahah NX. I've got a new sleeping pad, which is a Cedar Summit Neotherm Light, and one or two little other extra bits besides that just makes things a little bit more comfortable. But we'll wait and see. I think the route's short enough that if I wanted to do it, I could pack light and comfortably do it in one particularly long day. But that's not the purpose of the trip this week. The trip is just to get out and stay out. And when I was looking to plan this originally, I was going to do the Arrochar coastal path in its entirety, but the weather is actually better further north and further west. Hence I've opted for this route, and I can't begin to tell you how excited I am. It's just fantastic, and we've left Balloch, and quite quickly you leave the town and the A82 behind and the traffic noise, and you're into this open countryside, and it really is magnificent. I've got some views over towards Ben Lomond. It's in the cloud at the moment, but it just looks fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait to get some more miles under my belt. So I've been following the Lochs Way and the John Muir Way all the way from Balloch, and that signpost there is where the route splits. And I have to say that this route is extremely well signed. No route finding difficulties at all. Really impressed with it, and I'm making good time as well. By the time I'd messed around in Balloch and started walking properly, it must have been at least 11:15, if not 11, and we're now coming up for just around about 12:30, making some really good progress as well. And I think that's down to the fact that the tracks are so well maintained, as well as been very little to negotiate. There was a bit through some woods earlier on that I know from watching some other videos on YouTube that had some trees felled during some bad weather prior to Christmas, but that seems to have been removed now, and there was no difficulty in passing through the woods at all, so really good. So the view's just starting to really open up now, and you can see the Clyde there. You've got Gare Loch just disappearing with the trees, Loch Lomond just snaking around the corner, and then up straight ahead there you've got Loch Goyle. Absolutely struck lucky with the weather today. It really is amazing, some fantastic views. So there's home for tonight. Just to get everything unpacked inside now, get my sleeping mat inflated and get some food on. And first impressions in the field, very, very easy to pitch, much as it was at home. And the first thing you notice when you get inside is just the amount of space. That's all my kit in there, quite comfortably, and there's a decent area in which to cook in, and I'll be doing that shortly. So what I also wanted to show you was the thermarest Neo X Lite sleeping pad. That went up very, very quickly. I bought a flexi tail pump for that, a rechargeable pump, and it pumped it up in next to no time at all, but I probably could have been able to do that with a breath. What I did try to do at home before I came out was just test it a little bit with the bag that came with it, in which you need to inflate it, and it seemed quite fiddly, hence the purchase of the pump. So I don't know whether you can tell, but the light's really fading now. It's about 6:10. I'm going to get some food on. I've pitched a little way up and a lot sort of further along than where I intended. Just needed to get somewhere out of the way. I spoke to a farmer and he wasn't too keen on me camping down in the valley, and I kind of understand that. So I've got myself set up here. Don't think we'll be long before we lose the light completely, so I'm going to get some food on and then get into bed, because it is starting to get a bit chilly. Okay, there's another little gadget that I've treated myself to. It's just a stand that fits on the bottom of your gas canister and just provides that stability when you're cooking, so I'm not constantly having to worry about the thing falling over. Just going to put that on now. Okay, so this is tonight's burnt offering. Rice pudding with strawberry. That's pudding. And then for my main course, I'm going to have 5 bean cassoulet, and yeah, I'll let you know what those are like. Starving. So that was me, lights out, no problem. And before day 2 begins, I'll just show you on the OS map fly through how the route shapes up. So I parked in Balloch, near to the Tourist Information Office. Parking in Balloch is free, which is good to know, and there are plenty of shops there to stock up on anything last minute. And then very quickly you cross over the A82 and into open countryside. There's nothing too taxing in way of route finding, and in no time at all you are descending into Helensburgh. Helensburgh is a big town, plenty of shops and restaurants there, including a big Morrison's. I stopped there for a quick bite to eat, and then the long, slow climb out of the town begins, past some lovely properties, including Hill House, designed by Rennie Mackintosh, which is open to the public. It wasn't long before I was walking through Glenfruin, but be aware there aren't many places to pitch up here. As you leave the glen, the road goes up and round. There is some hard standing for parking, and just off that is a rough grass path that ascends a small hill where I was glad to rest up. If you aren't wild camping, the next accommodation is at Gare Head, but this is some distance to cover in one day, and you may want to consider an overnight in Helensburgh instead. There we go, that's where I was last night. And as always, leave no trace. And it's time to get going. So good morning, it's 7:45, and as you can see I've packed up and I'm on the move again, and had quite a good night's sleep last night. Quite surprised, it did get cold, but in my sleeping bag and my new thermarest, quite toasty really. Woke up once or twice for a wee, but that was about it. And yeah, very, very comfortable. Cooked up this morning, had some porridge and a cup of coffee, and nicely packed away, and time to get going now. My aim is to complete the walk today. I've got about 17 miles and I need to be at the end of the walk at the pier at Loch Lomond by 4:05 to get the bus back. Otherwise the next bus is at 9:05, and I don't want to have to wait that long really, so I'm going to try and make tracks today. I think I've got plenty of time to do it. I'll just have to see where I am and perhaps reassess again when I get to Arrochar and just determine what I'm going to do from then on. But the day is set to be pretty much like this. It's cloudy. It was cloudy last night. I was hoping to see the Aurora, but there was nothing really to see. The sky over in that direction was a little bit orange, but nothing more than that. So it wasn't really worth sort of getting up and getting out of bed for, so we'll just have to take that one. And then this morning it was quite cloudy at sunrise, so I just cooked up and that was that. Oh my word, look at all this frog spawn. So the food I had last night, the 5-bean cassoulet, was pretty good. It's quite spicy, I quite enjoyed that. The rice pudding wasn't too bad, it was a bit sweet, but it was calories and it filled the gap. And then I had a hot chocolate, and I didn't have a massive amount of battery left on my phone. I wanted to charge things up and the light was failing, and when I went to film a little bit of end piece last night, there just wasn't enough light to make it worth a while, so I just thought I'd get my head down and get to sleep and just pick it up in the morning. I'm going to make some easy miles now. So just looking across Loch Lomond, that fell with the jaggedy bits in the centre of your picture. I think that is the cobbler, which is a corbet. And just to the right, I think that should be Ben Narnain with its head in the clouds. And that's over 3,000 feet. That makes it a Munro. I've done that before, but it is some time, and I've not seen them from this angle before, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's it. So since I packed up this morning, I've been walking mainly on the old military road that bypasses the army base, and you've got Faz Lane on your left hand side down at Gare Head. And then once you leave there, you get on some forestry tracks, and although you can make some reasonable progress, just after a while, you know, it's a little bit hard underfoot. Feet start aching, can feel it in my joints a little bit, and it's not too pleasant. Then all of a sudden you come through this young pine forest and the track's got a little bit more give underfoot, and you've got a little bit more to see. Views are changing as the path snakes through the forest. It's much nicer. That bare was just a little bit monotonous. I just needed to get through it, so it's all good. Some cracking views as well. You can just see behind me that mountain over there. It looks fantastic. The trees just snaking up part way. It's brilliant. Loving this. So I've been moving now for just over 3 hours, and I can't think of a better place to stop and just take in this view and get a sandwich. And as I said earlier, that's definitely the cobbler, and then Ben Narnain to its right. You can see the clouds just disappeared off that now, but making pretty good progress. Should be able to get that bus at 4 o'clock. So yeah, all going well. So I haven't really been walking all that long since I stopped, but this track above here, and it gives amazing views, but crikey, there's some inclines. It's been really hard work, especially with a heavy pack, so I think that slowed me down a little bit. But the weather's glorious. You don't come to Scotland in February and expect this, so I'm going to take this all day long. What a great day. so that behind me, whoops, fucking hell. Start again. Okay, so that behind me is Ben Vane, and that's one of the other Munros in the area, and there are 4, collectively known as the Arrochar Alps. God, I wish I was climbing that today. We've got a little bit of a climb ahead to get over this pass and then drop round the other side. We'll just have to wait and see. So this section from Arrochar has been, without doubt, the best section. It's a lot more rugged, it's a lot wilder, it's a lot more Scottish. It's just been brilliant, really has. Some fantastic views as well, and of course I've been blessed by the weather. So if you've enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up. If you can leave a comment below, let me know what your plans are for the 3 Lochs Way and any other long distance paths you intend to do this year. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. And what I'll also do is I'll leave links to the route and all the other bits and pieces that you need to plan your own 3 Lochs Way. And now I've got to negotiate this bog, and I'll see you next time. So postscript, I didn't make it across the bog unscathed. So glad I didn't video it. But if you think I've been blathered before, just take a look at that. I'm so glad it's the end of the walk. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So just the final few words from me as I take another map check. And because I'd pushed a little bit further than planned on day 1, I was comfortably able to complete the route in just 2 days. There's no route finding problems and nothing tricky underfoot, as the path follows some minor roads passing the military base to the right and keeping Gare to the left. The road eventually turns into a rough vehicle track and passes through a lot of forestry. And as you cross near to the railway line, the views open up, but be aware the track becomes very undulating and very much like hard work. I had a decision to make here, rather to continue round to Tarbert to ensure that I made the earlier bus to Balloch, or carry up through Glen Loyne to Inveruglas. I chose the latter and made good time. The scenery is incredible here, and I'm so glad I made this choice. The bus you require is the 915 and stops curbside on the A82 at the Visitors Centre. The guides say this is opposite the Lochs Way power station. It isn't quite opposite, but at the end of the pavement where the route crosses the road. An adult single ticket cost me £10 and 10 pence. If you miss the 4:05, the next one is at 9:05 and there isn't anything there to pass the time, so you will have a long wait. The bus eventually stops on the A82 outside Balloch and gives you a mile or so walk back to the Tourist Information Centre.